everybody. It's Aluna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer, talking to you about the events of January 2023. And I always like to start out saying thank you to the guys at Know Thyself podcast for promoting me and being generally awesome. Everybody out there should follow them. They're fantastic. Okay. This month, everyone gets so excited about Mercury going direct. It goes retrograde, it goes direct. Goes retrograde 3 times a year for about 3 weeks. So Mercury going direct on January 18th. So we just actually entered it. And to talk about that, when Mercury went retrograde, it was the 28th of December last month. So it was right near Pluto. And I was talking about that last month that, it really can be about a deep sense of introspection because it retrograded in Capricorn, about knowing your boundaries, knowing your limits, knowing what's important to you, kind of like what you're all about, like your core, because that's both Saturn, the planet linked with Capricorn, and the planet Pluto itself. They're both about the core values and what really makes you you, and really thinking about that in your life, what makes you feel fulfilled, what drives you, and what kind of your deal breakers are with other people, behaviors you don't want to tolerate in yourself, or, just how you can most clearly live a fulfilled life. And I know that's a lot to put on Mercury retrograde. It only happens for 3 weeks, but it's a nice time to touch in and say, oh yeah, this is who I am. And that takes New Year's resolutions to a bigger level. And I was talking about some of this last month, but here we are in the new year, still with the Mercury retrograding in Capricorn. So yay. Now, to link these things together, Mars has been retrograde in Gemini, actually since the end of October. And Mars is going to go forward on January 12th. And so I'm doing this on the 4th. So even now, it's a little bit slowing down, and Mars likes to go forward. And even Mars would rather go backwards than slow down, So just the slowing down is, so just people might be tense. People get a little frustrated during a Mercury retrograde too, but doubly so because Mars is slowing down, then Mercury will slow down, So when Mars does go forward, it starts moving forward on the 12th, and then Mercury slows down, goes forward on the 18th. They actually make a kind of interesting angle to each other. It's called an inconjunct with an IN on the front, or quincunx, which is such a strange word. Quincunx, which is a 150-degree angle. And it's a weird angle. And so Mercury's communication and Mars can be aggression or frustration. So just that kind of middle of January, just giving people their space a little bit. But I think also coming out of that Mercury retrograde, when you're saying, this is who I am, this is what I want, and then that Mars can be the part of you that self-sabotages even. It doesn't have to be from the outside of people challenging you. But, this is again a classic New Year's resolution thing. How do I keep doing that behavior that was making me feel good, or that at least is leading me somewhere good, even though it feels uncomfortable to get used to? So it's like keeping to your goals, keeping to your commitments to yourself. And even that Mars can say, like, I really want to have a chocolate cake, or I really want to, whatever it is, go back into a bad relationship, or something that's not for your best interest, but it feels comfortable because it's what you used to be and who you always have been. It feels familiar. And so watching that little self-sabotage piece, or you may have to stand up to people who are like, yeah, they'll get over it and I can still do this, or, like, nope, I'm sticking with this, So that middle of the month is intriguing. You also may want to know that Uranus is going forward too at the same point. And Uranus is almost like the higher octave. Well, it is the higher octave of Mercury. So it's like the mind to a bigger level. But it can also be nervous and sort of racy. So the Uranus goes direct on the 21st. And so they're all kind of doing that within 10 days of each other. Those planets can get a little restless. So just putting that out there to be patient through that time period, And if you're getting those cravings to go down a bad angle or whatever, or disappoint yourself. It's like, just hold off and then say, oh, I made it through that testing time, just to really stand up for myself or to be present for myself, whatever it is. So that's good. Um, Interestingly, too, this theme of this month is a little intense. There's some other things that are more lighthearted, but when we have the new moon on the 21st of January, sun and moon, of course, always together, but then Pluto's right there. So we had Pluto with the Mercury retrograde, and then Pluto in with this the new moon. I almost said north node, for those of you who know what that is. So that Pluto's in there saying, remember your core, remember your gut, remember what's worth fighting for, remember what you're truly about, and keep honoring that. So almost like when you get past that little trippy uppy time, we got that new moon to say yes, go for it, and or if you do kind of goof up a little, it's like getting back on track, saying this is important to me, I can do this. And the more likely getting back to the new plan reinforces that positive program too, even as much as if you stayed with it, it's like there's always a chance to get back on the trail, and but it's definitely not like lighthearted stuff. It's like, oh, New Year's resolutions. It's like, no, who do I really want to be? How do I want to be? When am I going to do it if not now? And reminding yourself of that and saying it's worth it. It's worth it to continue your spiritual practice or forgiving people or eating well or, whatever it is. So that's the new moon. That's, again, the 21st of the month. Let's see. The other thing that's kind of nice is that Venus is going into Aquarius most of January, and Saturn moves a lot slower, but a lot of the point through the month, Venus and Saturn are tracking together. And that's really good for a few things. Venus in Aquarius is definitely kind of loving all of humanity, and Saturn can be, putting your money where your mouth is a little bit, like if you want to do volunteering or make a difference in community of some level like that. It can also be, Venus can be about finances. So that could be for yourself because Saturn is so clear and orderly and having a rhythm of things. I actually tithe, which is giving 10% of my income away to a spiritual, whatever's meaningful to me spiritually. And kind of a practice like that can be Venus, Saturn. I'm committing Saturn to do that. So it's circulating money in the universe and generating more for yourself that then you can then share more. That could be a Venus Saturn kind of commitment thing. It could be creating an investment. It could be thinking about your future planning, financial planning stuff. It also just Venus is about self-worth. Again, the kind of that theme I was talking before with these New Year's resolutions, I'm worth it. It's worth it to give myself time. It's worth it to, if it's, carving out meditation time or yoga time or something like that, you're worth it. It can be Venus, Saturn. The other thing is relationships can go to another level of commitment and connection, and excuse me, kind of not say it wouldn't be romantic, but it's thinking about the long term. This is a person I could really bond with 10 years down the line. It doesn't have to be it's not flirty fun. It's depth, Venus and Saturn like that. It's I'm serious here, this is meaningful to me. So you can meet people who are really interested in meaningful relationships or kind of sweep the stuff out of a long-term partnership. What's really important here? Let's really get to the fact we love each other. Or how do we, make our relationship even better and stronger, and what do we need to do? So that can be a great thing here with the Venus and Saturn. And the other thing is Jupiter's still in Aries. I mean, obviously it's going to be there for a number more months, but it's this is the first month of that Venus being fully back in Aries. And again, it's a spirit of adventure. Jupiter's very expansive and hopeful, and Aries is too. So even under this kind of serious Saturn and, Capricorn-y stuff and all that, Jupiter's yeah, we can do it, and it's worth it. And this is where we're going, because sometimes Saturn is plotting each step and looking down. And Jupiter's whoa, look where we're going. Look how we're doing this. And learning to, I might have mentioned this before, last month when we talked about Jupiter going to Sag. Oh, excuse me, Jupiter going to Aries. Jupiter's linked with Sag, that's where that came from. But to have a gratitude practice and really, really being grateful for the times that you went back to the practice of meditation, or you went back to being present to yourself or others, this kind of thing. And I might have shared before that sometimes I have a challenge with gratitude, feeling gratitude, because it seems sort of intellectual, like it's like a concept or something. And then I started saying, like, I love this. Like, I could say, I'm grateful for chocolate ice cream, but you'd say, oh, I love chocolate ice cream, and then I find I'm feeling it more. Like, my little kitty cat Strummer, who makes an appearance sometimes. Like, I'm grateful for Strummer. It's like, oh, I love Strummer, And so that has helped me to have more ease with the gratitude, so it doesn't feel like list-y or by rote or, again, an intellectual practice, but really in the heart practice. So anyways, that might be some Jupiter in Aries kind of stuff to keep you going, that why am I trying to do these commitments to myself and others? It's like, oh yeah. So, okay, that's enough for today, I guess. And if you'd like to get a session with me, you can contact me through my website, alunamichaels.com. I've got my book, you can order through there, but you can also do it from Amazon Kindle. It's The Spiritual Gifts of the 12 Astrological Signs. Just a little simple book. And you can text me or call me, which my number will be down here on the YouTube, 248-583-1663, or email me at Aluna, Aluna@alunamichaels.com. Okay, so bye-bye for now, and have a great month. Thanks for listening.